Okay, let's do another update because remember I had two of these? Well, I had a third one coming in, but I accidentally clipped the third one off like just stupid. I was trimming a plant and I clipped it and the new flower went away, so had to throw that one away. But so here's the next one, the second one, and you can see the pods. So I figured out what happens with these. These purple pods get big and swell up, and then the outside of the pod gets you can see like there's a piece inside. Well, when the outside part comes off, the round pod inside tries to fall out, and then the outside cover of that gets mush and falls apart, and inside of it, it's this plant we're talking about, by the way. Inside of it falls out a little, where is it? Here it is. See this little green seedling? The little green seedling, that's what sinks. So you see there's one here. There's one here which I gotta move that because it's gonna grow up between the aerial. And hey dude, I haven't fed them yet. But anyway, so those are the little seedlings that fall out. Because the first one, after it got real big, I had clipped it. So it looks like this. And it started to die off and mush up. This one still has just a couple of parts left on it. The bigger spike here, that has a pod inside of it. And that has one inside. And they will fall off. There's another one. The little white ones, I don't think they do anything. I don't know. Maybe that didn't. I don't know how that works. But there's some in my other tank too. Here's one that fell. Now you see it's making a sprout. Like a little bean sprout. This one, that, by the way, this is my Blixa Novu. That bright red Blixa Novu that was really tall, that bright fire colored one. Yeah, that's what's left of it. I'm trying to see if I can recover it, but I don't know. That green leaf with the red tip, that one looks kind of healthy, but it doesn't want to grow. So you see here's two of those little bean sprouts of them. So these are all going to grow into that plant, hopefully. But just to make sure that they don't, I don't know, just to mix up the results, just to make sure, I dropped a couple of seeds on this tank over here in this little kind of shady spot that doesn't move a lot. There are some dropped at random spots in these tanks, but you know, there's one right here. There's one mixed in here somewhere. But yeah, so that way, and I dropped one back here in this hole. This hole is where the Aromatica Mini used to be, and it floated out, so I just left it. I plugged it back in a few times and it floated back out, so I just left it there. See how the fish are doing? Little white clouds. I've got like 2 Hengeli raspberries left from when they all died out. Still got a lot of the where I had some little pink endlers, and now they're just mixed different kinds, because with the 2 or 3 pink endlers that I had left when the females had died, and I had gone to Petco and just got a couple of nice clear female guppies with a nice little color. So this is the offspring that they've all been having. Like, this one's really cool. It's really hard to catch endlers on camera, but let's see if I can. Here's another cool one, nice color. So these are like little endler guppy hybrids. Of course, most endlers that you buy are endler guppy hybrids. They're never usually just endlers or just guppies. But so here's the I don't know what I call it, the other tank, the 38 gallon, the easy tank. And then we'll take a look at the 90p, since we're updating, and just kind of show, I don't know, it's about the same. I've kind of like just let it go, let it flow. I still got a couple of the aerial quins left. They're not super great. You see they're like basically growing in slow motion. And one stem left of the Rotala Ramasur Kramer. My Floridas are doing great and the Kramer's doing bad. I used to have a ton of Kramer and couldn't grow Florida. Right here sticking out, you see the little brown spike sticking out here. That is that Cryptocorn cubotai. So I guess maybe I could either pull the stuff out from around it that's grown into it, or I could pull it out and move it to a spot. Like maybe move it to that one kind of bare spot there, but I don't want it to cover my Erios. I like those little Erio Shigas. They're really nice, and they're easy, and I can split them later. So that Erio Goyas that I had literally just snipped it in half because I was like, okay, this thing is staying the same. It's not propagating. There's not growing new heads. So I just split it in half, and we'll see what happens if they recover, if I can pick off the extra pieces and get the split heads out or what. That one little green right there, that little poor looking stem back there, that's actually some more Florida that didn't take, but this Florida's doing good. So I just leave it with fingers crossed, you know what I mean? I don't want to really mess with it too much. You see the crypts back here doing pretty good. You can see the albedas are growing out now. See the big kind of green crinkly ones? The greenish red right here that are not tiger. That is Spiralis tiger, and I've got plenty of that growing out now from a couple of them. So that's good. Because I originally started with like one or two little poor looking ones. But the albedas are starting to come in now. And you guys saw albeda in my last scape. It will take over everything after a while eventually. I try to cover the light so you could see them, but the albedas mixed in there. Yeah, them albedas are gonna get growing to monsters. You can grow albeda in a low-tech tank and it stays nice. I'll take a shot of the outside tank. I got a little tank on my porch, a little 15-gallon, and it's a low-tech. I don't even water change it. I just top it off. Like I have a Sunny D jug, and I'll just dip it in here and get water from this one before I'm gonna do a water change. And I take it over there and I just pour it into the outside tank to refill as it gets low. I just top it up. That's it. I don't even put fertilizer in it or anything. This Ruben Nero, Echinodoros Ruben Nero, is still doing good. I mean, it's a very neat plant, very unique. It kind of makes me want to get another Reuben sword, but Reubens are huge. This is a Ruben Nero. You can see one leaf is curly. I don't know what's up with that. I guess it had nowhere to go. But they do almost kind of grow in a swirl, but not really. So these crypts, last time I almost called it a Perpea. It's not. This crypt is called an auriculata. It stays green, and most people don't have them. I don't know why. I do know I had a hard time growing them for a long time. But for me, the auriculata and flamingo are just about identical in how you grow them. Like, if you can't grow one, you can't grow the other. If you can grow one, you can grow the other. They're kind of like twin plants for me. Like, it's the green one and the pink one. You see my Reinecke here. My Reinecke situation has always been the same. I can grow great tops, and then after the next couple of leaves down, usually will kind of get tarnished. But I mean, I ain't really worried about that. Those variegated bacopas are doing good. I had a couple sprigs of Rotala SP green, and they've grown out. They've grown out from the shadows there. The plant on the top is Didipus deandra. I don't know why I have had a kind of a hard time growing it before, but it is a strange plant. It's really hard to get color. Dennis Wong grows it in his plants, in his tanks, and in his tank they're fat and they're like orange. But you can see mine only get orange at the top of the water. I don't have mega light hitting them, but you can see they have plant buds, like flower buds that grow between the stalks. So they grow little flower buds underwater, which, you know, that's not too common for a Rotala looking, Ludwigia looking stem plant. But they're kind of neat. There's another crypt auriculata that just sort of floated over there. This little area back here, there's just kind of nothing really back here, but some little hairgrass mini. I should probably pull it out of the corner and go put some in the light. I was gonna put hairgrass mini in the front and let it go across the front because it will never outcompete. Now, okay, when you go to the regular store and you buy Heliacaris acicularis, or they call it parvula, either one, it will say dwarf hairgrass. Dwarf hairgrass will outgrow, like, it will get tall here, like this tall or taller. But dwarf hairgrass mini acicularis mini stays this, like, it never gets bigger than that. In fact, a lot of people will wonder why it's dying out, and it's because you leave it in there so long and it never needs trimming, so they don't trim it. Eventually it will start getting some brown pieces and stuff like that and start getting a little algae. You give it a tiny little trim across, it encourages it to keep growing well, which I haven't done that because I'm just super lazy with this tank. But anyways, so you see sorry about my finger, it keeps going over the camera. The camera's spaced out weird on this phone. I have a Flip 3. My brownie ghost, it's doing okay, but it could be doing better. I do have algae growing on one of the leaves because I unshaded it. I had a big plug of moss just going all across here, and I took it out. So it's like in broad light almost. It's kind of shaded, but the one or two leaves that are sticking straight out, directly getting hit directly with the light, kind of get algae. I got a little algae on some of this buse. Like, this buse is pretty nice. I mean, a little holy, but not too bad. But see that one leaf BBA? You see the BBA on some of these pieces of the stem back there? I don't really worry too much about BBA anymore. I really don't care. I just kind of let it do its thing. Like this, the piece of driftwood that goes back here that I put all the Anubias on, you can see BBA all over it. It doesn't bother me. Okay, so a lot of Anubias here. Most of it's just Nana. There's some Nana Petite. There is some Panda, but it is reverted Panda, so it's green. There's no more white in it. This one with the more kind of longer, pointier leaf at the top, that's a Homolomena species. And my pearlweed there, I need to trim that. I knew I shouldn't have put pearlweed right there. It's gonna try to grow over everything. It's trying to go past this grassy looking patch here. That's Ericolon Dong Ha. The little spiky ones are Shigas. Back there is the Goyas that I need to pick up and pull out all the bad leaves on the Goyas. And this Ericolon here that's taller, hard to see, but that is called Linear. There's one here, which I put this here, but I mean, obviously the bacopas and stuff are kind of choking it out, but it's okay. And right here, these little Erios that look like yard grass, those are Erio Vietnam, and I do need to pull those out and split them up. I do run out of places to put them. Here's some more Vietnam. I mean, I could just put them like in that hole or something, but see, the way that I spaced out crypts, I kind of screwed myself because I spaced these crypts out course, the brown crypts, there's no hope for anything over there, but that brown crypts get big and they spread. I'm trying to grow these flamingos, but sometimes when you buy flamingos from certain people and certain strains, they don't want to grow well. You see that one leaf is kind of good and open, the other ones don't really want to open too much. The one that's got moss covering all over it is growing better, because they grow better with a slight overcast on them. Like, see this one, couple of open leaves that are covered by moss, and then they got some that won't quite open. And if you ask people, hey, my flamingo looks like this, what's wrong with it? The first mega big answer you're always gonna get is more CO2, more CO2, more CO2. People will say more CO2 for everything, but these have kind of low CO2, but they do have CO2. You can see the bubbles. It's just low. It's not high like in the other tank. The other tank has a lot of CO2 blasting. But I don't know. In my experience, if I just crank up the CO2 and blast it like Sprite in here, it doesn't really make the crypts grow better. Some crypts grow fine in low CO2 or even low tech. It's harder to grow them in low tech, but you don't want to hit them with too much light. Like, see this, this is not a Rosen Maiden, it's a Cryptocorn Nuri Pahang mutated. Same thing almost, nearly, but more reddish. But I mean, look, it's spreading. Look, there's a baby spread out from it. All this came from like one plant planted there, and it's doing great. It has low CO2 and it's always been shaded. But if I put one right out in the open, it doesn't grow good like that, and it gets a lot of holes in it. So in my opinion, slightly medium light instead of really super high, kind of medium light, regular dosing, kind of low to regular CO2 is fine for those. Like this, it's growing slow here. You can still see the green leaves, but I mean, look how nice this flamingo's coming in. This was growing in almost no CO2 for a while in here, until I cranked it up a little bit more, but it was fully shaded by everything. It still gets light, but it gets light from below all this. So if you see the pattern here that I've always noticed is, if I take flamingos and blast them out into the light, they seem to have to work harder. A lot of people say flamingo's a highlight plant. In my opinion, it's kind of a medium light. So anyways, a little bit of Blixa, what's it called? Blixa japonica. And yeah, that's about it. And these Sagittaria, this is a Sagittaria platyphylla. I find them in the wild. Like, I just can go to the parks and collect them around here. They grow in ditches too. And they get real big and long, like jungle vows, kind of. But they don't, I mean, not that long. You see this one's coming across here. That's probably about as long as they get from me. But when I collect them, when I find them in canals and ditches, they are short, small, like this size. They're small, and they can be red to purple from the sun beating them down so hard in the environment that they're in. I'm gonna step outside. I know this video is long, but I mean, I'm just trying to give information and stuff. Like I said, I didn't start these videos to, like, you know, to entertain people. These videos are for, I don't know, it helps me learn. You know what I mean? And if someone else can learn from it, that's great. Because sometimes I've tried something and it just turned out that, I don't know, sometimes I figure out something else worked, or I can go back to one of my older videos when a plant was doing great and find myself talking about how I was doing things then. Make slight changes over time, and eventually you end up where you end up. And I'm not trying to switch everything up all the time to cater to some things. I'm trying to find a good overall balance that works for everything. And if one plant really doesn't like it, but everything else really does, to me that's okay. I'm not trying to make changes and keep switching and switching and switching things you know, just throwing out the balance out the door just to, because I got one plant that I'm trying to like figure out how to make it work right, you know. I'm done with all that. It's the same thing with fish. Some people buy one fish and it just screws up everything. Like, hey dude, you're freaking up the program. Like, and they try to change everything in the whole tank and all kinds of stuff for one fish. Like, sometimes that fish has to go, or that plant. So let's step outside. Okay, we're outside. This is lluvia. It's pronounced lluvia, like it's Spanish for rain. So it's a mess out here. My outside the porch area, but this is an ADA 60P. So I finally have a 20-gallon rimless, and it's actually an ADA. One of my pet stores had is someone just gave up the hobby and just gave it to him. So I give them plants a lot. So my local fish store, they sold it to me for like 20 or 30 bucks or something. Really great deal. Like I said, it's a mess out here. Things are piled up and stuff, but whatever. Just look at the tanks. So this is my lazy, super lazy tank outside. I just top it up. It does have a light. The light comes on about 7 o'clock at night. It turns off around 3 in the morning or something. It is on a timer. It's just an all-in-one setup that has a little pump in the back, like a little pond pump. And I have a bag full. I have a little mesh bag full of I don't know, some ceramic media or something. There's a big sponge on the left side in the back. That drip, that I put that there because the air conditioner drips right there, and it sucked the table and warped it. So that's to keep it from dripping on there. But so you can see I got Cryptwinty green and bronze, and also Nuri in there. I had a couple of flamingos in there. They died. So that is a Crypt Albida costata. The ones that super overgrew my tank. They're like bright fire orange and brown pattern. Well, in low tech it looks like this. That's what it does in low tech. It just stays like that. So if you have low tech, super low CO2 or whatever, it's a great plant for like a little medium plant. If you got if you got CO2, good dosing, higher light, get one. They're really gorgeous, and just be prepared. It's gonna take over your tank and multiply. I've never shown this before because it's a mess, but these are some of my rocks from when I took them out of the last scape. But the reason I don't get around to aquascaping is because there's a big mess outside here, and down here under all this mess is we have stuff piled up out here because there's nowhere to put it. Like, you know how people have with the garage or whatever. But my rocks and wood and driftwood and everything, it won't even focus on it. It's like down here stuck in a big pile under everything. So anyways, yeah, we are moving to another house that we have been patiently trying to wait on, and doing things like that. It's being built, and hopefully around January, February or something, we should get into it. And when we do, it's a little bit bigger, and I can set this tank up. I'm excited to have a 20-gallon because it's big enough to do stuff in and small enough to not have to do big stuff in. So that would be great to set up. And the all-in-one, and this too. This is my dinner late 10-gallon cube. I mean, I got nowhere to put it. Our house is small. But yeah, so messy tanks, mucho blah blah blah, and that's about it, man. I do a water change. I change about right here, you know, about half or a little more. I go to about half or right there or so. I do that about once a month, man, when I feel like it. And every 2 or 3 months, I take apart the oase. Like I open it, I rinse and blast off the pre-filter sponges to get the leaf matter off of them, and like every few months maybe I will open it and just shake and rinse and just pour the water out, and then just fill it back up with tank water and restart the filter. And that's about it. I do daily dosing. I do daily dosing for it that I mix myself, and I mix my own dechlorinator for the water. So I mean, at this point, pretty much like no money is going into anything right now. It's just self-sustaining. The plants get too much, and I just yank a bunch of them out and I go give them away to my local fish store so that they can sell a few. And that's about it. And sometimes they'll give me a little fish, like this little guy. So it's all worth it. Anyways, that's the tank update, guys. I know this video is super long, so I mean, if you hung in there, appreciate it. These videos are mostly for my self-learning, just mostly educational, I guess, experience. Anyways, thanks for watching.